My sister looked me in the eye and said, "If you're not back by Monday, I'm taking your cat to the shelter." I'd been her free nanny for 6 months, watching her kid 50 hours a week, and I'd missed one day because my flight got delayed. One day. And now she was holding my pet hostage, demanding $3,500, and stealing my belongings. That's when I realized I wasn't dealing with family anymore. I was dealing with an exploiter. And it was time she learned what happens when you push someone too far. If you've ever been used by someone you trusted, this story is for you. Hit that like button, subscribe for more justice stories, and let's dive into how one sister's greed destroyed her own reputation. My name is Amber, and at 24 years old, I thought I'd hit rock bottom. I just lost my job at a marketing firm, budget cuts, last hired first fired, the usual story. My lease was ending, my savings were almost gone, and I was staring at the very real possibility of having to move back in with my parents 3 states away. That's when my older sister, Natalie, called. "Hey, I heard about the job. That sucks." Her voice was sympathetic, almost too sympathetic. "Listen, why don't you come stay with me and Bradley for a while? Just until you get back on your feet. I could use some help with Lucas anyway." Lucas was her 3-year-old son. Sweet kid, lots of energy, and Natalie worked long hours as a nurse while her husband Bradley managed a restaurant. They were always scrambling for childcare. "I don't know," I said. "I don't want to be a burden." "You wouldn't be. Just pay $300 a month for rent, and maybe watch Lucas occasionally when we're in a bind." It's perfect. $300 a month in a nice suburban house versus $800 for a studio apartment in a sketchy neighborhood. The math wasn't hard. "Okay," I said. "Thank you." "Really? That's what family's for," Natalie said. "I should have known better." The first month was fine. I paid my $300, watched Lucas maybe twice a week for a few hours, and spent the rest of my time applying for jobs, going to interviews, trying to rebuild my career. Natalie seemed happy with the arrangement. Bradley was polite but distant, always working. Then month 2 hit, and I still didn't have a job. The interviews weren't converting. The market was brutal. When rent came due, I sat Natalie down in her kitchen, my stomach in knots. "I'm so sorry, but I can't make rent this month. I'm still waiting to hear back from 3 places and—" Hey, it's okay." Natalie reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Your family. Don't worry about the money right now." Relief flooded through me. Really? But—" She paused, and I saw the calculation in her eyes. "Maybe you could watch Lucas a bit more. Bradley and I are both pulling extra shifts, and daycare is so expensive." "Of course," I said immediately. "Whatever you need." That's how it started. At first, it was just full days. I'd get Lucas up, make him breakfast, play with him, put him down for his nap, give him lunch, play more playing, then Natalie or Bradley would come home. 8, maybe 10 hours a day. Then it became sleepovers when Natalie worked overnight shifts. Then it became me watching Lucas for entire weekends when they wanted to reconnect or go to concerts or visit friends. Then Natalie took a 3-week travel nursing contract, and Bradley's restaurant started a renovation. And suddenly I was a full-time, round-the-clock nanny for a 3-year-old with absolutely no break and no pay. I tried to bring it up once. "Natalie, I'm happy to help, but I really need to focus on finding work. I can't be doing full-time childcare and job hunting at the same time." She looked at me like I'd slapped her. "Are you serious right now? You're living in my house rent-free, eating my food, and you're complaining about spending time with your nephew." "I'm not complaining, I thought you loved Lucas." "I do love Lucas, that's not the point." "Then what is the point, Amber? That family helping family is too much for you." I backed down. What else could I do? 3 months in, I landed an interview for a remote position. Really promising, good pay, flexible hours. The night before, I was reviewing my notes when Natalie came home. "Hey, I need you to watch Lucas tomorrow." "Full day." "I can't. I have a job interview." Her face hardened. "Can't you reschedule? It's the final round. They're interviewing 3 candidates. If I reschedule, they'll just move on." "So what am I supposed to do? Call a babysitter? Ask one of your friends?" "This is important, Natalie." She stared at me for a long moment, then left the room without another word. The next morning, she dropped Lucas off with me at 6 a.m. before I could protest and left for work with her phone off. I missed the interview. I tried to leave 3 times after that. The first time, I found a friend who said I could crash on her couch. I told Natalie I'd be moving out at the end of the week. She cried, actual tears streaming down her face. You're just going to abandon us? Abandon Lucas? He asks for you every morning. You're like a second mom to him. The guilt was crushing. Please, she said. Just stay a little longer. Just until I can find proper childcare. I stayed. The second time, I'd been offered a job. Entry level, not great pay, but it was something. I'd need to move closer to the office. That's such a long commute, Natalie said. Why don't you just keep living here and save money? You can work remotely sometimes, right? Natalie, I need my own space. After everything I've done for you, letting you live here, feeding you, treating you like family, and this is how you repay me. I stayed. The third time, I just started packing. Didn't announce it, didn't ask permission, just started putting my things in boxes. Natalie came into my room. What are you doing? I'm leaving. I found a room for rent across town. I will move in next week. You can't. I'm 24 years old. Yes, I can. But what about Lucas? He's your son, Natalie. Figure it out. She changed tactics then. Her voice got soft, almost pleading. I'm sorry. I know I've been asking too much. Things have just been so hard with work and Bradley's schedule and money being tight. You're right, this isn't fair to you. Let me make it up to you. Stay through the end of the month, and I'll pay you for the childcare. Properly, and we'll find a real solution. I should have left. Every instinct told me to just go. But she was my sister, and I wanted to believe her. I unpacked. That's where things stood when my boyfriend Isaac called with an offer. My cousin got married in Hawaii last month, he said. My whole family was supposed to go, but there was this huge storm and half the flights got canceled. My parents' trip got rescheduled, and they have 2 extra tickets. Wanna come? To Hawaii. 5 days. All expenses paid. My parents really want to meet you. I hadn't had a vacation in over a year. I hadn't had a break from Lucas in 6 months. The thought of 5 days on a beach, away from diapers and tantrums and my sister's guilt trips, sounded like paradise. I'll need to clear it with Natalie, I said. When I told her, she wasn't happy. That's really bad timing. It's 5 days. I have 3 overnight shifts that week. Then ask Bradley to adjust his schedule. Or hire a babysitter. With what money? Do you know how much emergency childcare costs? That's not my problem, Natalie. Her eyes went cold. Fine. Go. But you better be back when you say you will. I left on a Saturday. The plan was to be back Thursday evening. Isaac's parents were lovely. The wedding was beautiful. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Then came Wednesday night. Isaac's mom pulled me aside looking worried. The flights tomorrow are all on standby because of the weather. There's a tropical storm moving in. The airline says we might get delayed. How delayed? Could be a day. Could be longer. I immediately called Natalie. It was 11 p.m. her time, but she answered. Hey, just a heads up, the weather here is bad. Our flight might get delayed. What do you mean delayed? Like, we might not make it back Thursday. Maybe Friday. Silence. Natalie, you promised you'd be back. I didn't promise anything. I said I'd try to be back. This is weather I can't control. I have a shift Friday morning. So call someone. Bradley can. Bradley has to work. You know this. God, Amber, you're so selfish. I'm selfish? I've been your free nanny for 6 months. Free. You've been living in my house eating my food. Because you told me not to worry about rent. You said, figure it out. Be back by Friday, or don't bother coming back at all. She hung up. The storm got worse. Our flight got canceled. Then canceled again. We were stuck for 6 days. I texted Natalie updates constantly. She didn't respond. When I finally landed, I had 47 missed calls and 12 voicemails. My hands were shaking as I listened to them. The first few were angry. Where are you? I had to call in sick. Do you know what this does to my record? Then they got vicious. You've always been like this. Unreliable. Selfish. Using people. Then came the threats. If you're not back by Monday, I'm taking Whiskers to the shelter. I'm serious. Whiskers was my cat. My cat. The one I'd had since college. The final voicemail was cold and detached. You have 1 week to get your stuff and get out. And you owe me $3,500 in back rent. I kept track. If you don't pay, I'm taking you to small claims court. I stood in the airport, my suitcase at my feet, and felt my entire world tilt. When I got to Natalie's house, the locks had been changed. I knocked. Bradley answered, looking uncomfortable. I need to get my things, I said. Natalie's not here. I don't care. I need my stuff. And my cat. She said you can't come in without her here. Bradley, please. I've been traveling for 12 hours. I just want my cat and my computer and... I can't. I'm sorry. He closed the door in my face. I called Natalie. Straight to voicemail. I texted. No response. I called the police non-emergency line. The officer who showed up was polite but firm. If she's changed the locks and you don't have a lease, there's not much we can do tonight. You'll need to establish your tenancy or take it to civil court. But my stuff is in there. My cat. Does she have proof the cat is yours? Vet records in your name. I had adopted Whiskers from a shelter before moving in. All the records were digital, linked to my email, but nothing with this address. Yes, but get the documentation together and come back. Or file small claims. 2 days later, after staying with Isaac, I came back with a police escort to retrieve my things. Natalie was there this time, her face a mask of cold fury. You can take your clothes and personal items, she said. But the computer stays until you pay what you owe. That computer is mine. I bought it. Prove it. I don't have the receipt anymore. It's 3 years old. Then I guess it's mine now. Collateral for your debt. The police officer looked at me apologetically. She's claiming you owe her money, and the computer is collateral. That's a civil matter. You'll need to take it to small claims court. This is theft. Actually, it's a property dispute. Small claims court. I'm sorry. As I loaded boxes into Isaac's car, Natalie stood on her porch, arms crossed. You know what the worst part is? She called out. I actually thought you cared about Lucas, but you were just using us for a free place to stay. Something in me snapped. Using you. I turned around, my voice shaking. I watched your kid 50 hours a week for 6 months. I gave up job interviews. I missed opportunities. I put my entire life on hold. Do you know what childcare costs? Full-time nannies make $15 to $20 an hour. 50 hours a week, that's $750 to $1,000. Per week. For 6 months. I provided you with $18,000 to $24,000 worth of childcare, and you think I owe you $3,500? Natalie's face paled. Get off my property. Gladly. But I wasn't done. Not even close. That night, I did something I'd been avoiding for months. I started documenting everything. Every text message where Natalie asked me to watch Lucas. Every time she said, don't worry about rent. Every overnight stay. Every weekend. Every last-minute emergency. Then I made a spreadsheet, detailed, professional, accounting for every hour of childcare at the average market rate in our area. The number came out to $22,400. I filed in small claims court, not for my computer, though I wanted it back, but for the difference. $22,400 in childcare services rendered, minus $900 in rent I would have owed, 3 months at $300. Total claim, $21,500. I also documented that the rent had been waived verbally in exchange for childcare services, making it a barter arrangement. The court date was set for 8 weeks out. In the meantime, I did something else. I wrote down everything that had happened, calmly, factually, with dates and times, and I sent it to our mother. My mom called me an hour later. Is this true? Every word. She said you abandoned them, that you were unreliable and left her in the lurch. I was stuck because of the weather. I told her in advance it might happen. There was a long silence. Then, I'm calling Natalie. Whatever my mom said to Natalie, it worked. 3 days later, I got a text. We need to talk. We met at a neutral location, a coffee shop. Natalie looked tired, scared even. I didn't realize you were filing a lawsuit. What did you expect? You stole my property and claimed I owed you money. I was angry. You left me stranded. The weather left you stranded. I gave you a week's notice that it might happen. She looked down at her coffee. I can't afford a lawsuit. If you win, it'll destroy us financially. You should have thought of that before you exploited me. I didn't. She stopped. Started again. I needed help. Things have been so hard, so have things for me. But you made them harder. What do you want? I slid a piece of paper across the table. I want my computer back. I want an apology, written, not verbal, admitting you took advantage of me. And I want you to pay for my storage unit for the 3 months I was homeless after you kicked me out. That's $1,100 total. That's it. That's it. Or we go to court, and I go for the full amount. She read the paper, her hands shaking. Then she signed it. 2 days later, Isaac and I met her in a parking lot. She handed over my computer and a check. We didn't say goodbye. The written apology came via email that night. Amber, I'm sorry. I took advantage of you when you were vulnerable. I convinced myself I was helping you, but really I was using you to avoid paying for childcare I needed. You didn't owe me anything. I owed you. I'm sorry for threatening Whiskers, for keeping your things, and for trying to make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. I hope someday you can forgive me. I never responded. 6 months later, I ran into our mom at a family gathering I'd been avoiding. She pulled me aside. Natalie's been struggling, she said. She had to put Lucas in full-time daycare. It's costing them almost $2,000 a month. Bradley picked up a second job. Things are tight. Good, I said. My mom looked shocked. That's harsh. Is it? She spent 6 months stealing my labor and convincing me I was the problem. Now she's paying market rate for the services she needs. That's not punishment. That's just reality. She's your sister. She was my sister. Now she's someone who taught me a valuable lesson about exploitation. My mom didn't know what to say to that. I never went back to those family gatherings. Natalie and I haven't spoken since. I heard through the grapevine that she told people I sued her for helping me out, and that I was bitter and ungrateful. But here's the thing, I don't care. Because I learned something crucial from that experience. People will take as much as you let them take. They'll call it family, or love, or helping each other out. But if the help only flows one direction, it's not help. It's exploitation. Natalie didn't just use me. She gaslit me into believing I was the one in the wrong for wanting boundaries. She made me feel guilty for not being grateful enough for the privilege of being her unpaid servant. And when I finally stood up for myself, she tried to punish me by taking my belongings and threatening my pet. That's not family. That's abuse. So yeah, I took her to court. I documented everything. I made her face the reality of what she'd done. And I don't regret it for a second. Because the best revenge isn't hurting someone back. It's refusing to let them hurt you anymore. Sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are the ones who exploit you the worst. They use your loyalty, your guilt, your hope that things will get better. Natalie thought she could take and take and take, and when I finally said no, she tried to destroy me. But all she did was destroy herself, because now everyone knows exactly who she is. And me. I'm free. Let me be crystal clear about this. Amber didn't just win. She was absolutely 100% in the right. Natalie pulled a classic exploitation move. She offered help when Amber was vulnerable, then slowly increased demands until Amber was providing full-time childcare worth literally tens of thousands of dollars. And she convinced Amber to feel guilty about it the entire time. The math doesn't lie. Professional childcare costs $15 to $25 an hour. Amber worked 50 hours a week for 6 months. That's $18,000 to $24,000 in value. Natalie wanted to charge her $3,500. She should have been paying Amber $21,000. But here's what really gets me, the threats. Threatening to take someone's pet to a shelter because they got delayed by weather? That's not family frustration. That's calculated cruelty meant to control and punish. And changing the locks, stealing her computer, calling it collateral, that's illegal. The only reason Natalie didn't face criminal charges is because the cops saw it as a civil dispute. Amber handled this perfectly. She documented everything, stayed calm, and let the evidence speak for itself. She didn't escalate, didn't get emotional, just presented facts and numbers. And Natalie folded immediately when faced with the reality of a lawsuit. So was Amber justified? Absolutely. Should she feel guilty? Not for 1 second. Natalie learned an expensive lesson. Exploit someone long enough, and eventually they'll make you pay for it. If this story hits home, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories about standing up to exploitation and setting boundaries with toxic people. Drop a comment. Have you ever been used by family? How did you handle it? And if you're in a situation like Amber's right now, this is your sign. Document everything, know your worth, and don't let anyone make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. Share this with anyone who needs to hear that saying no to family exploitation isn't selfish, it's survival. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.